On May 7, 2025, something happened that caught the entire military world off guard. India lost fighter jets to Pakistan. We're talking about some of the most advanced aircraft in India's arsenal, platforms that were supposed to give it a clear edge in the skies. And yet, within minutes of a single operation, those advantages didn't seem to matter anymore. From rising tensions in Kashmir to rapid military buildups along the border, this was a fast, high-intensity air battle where everything came down to detection, coordination, and timing. Stick around as we break down the May 7th air battle, how India lost fighter jets to Pakistan, and what this tells us about the future of conflict between two nuclear powers. Setting the scene, the largest India-Pakistan escalation in decades. Two nuclear-armed nations, two of the strongest militaries on the planet, and two countries that just can't seem to get along. For decades, the world has watched on in anticipation as tensions rise between India and Pakistan. And while border skirmishes have gotten a little too common, the events leading up to May 7th had everyone at the edge of their seats. April 22, 2025, armed rebels entered the picturesque tourist resort of Pahalgam in Indian-occupied Kashmir, taking out 26 tourists. Eyewitnesses told news outlets that armed men in camo appeared from the nearby forest, firing indiscriminately at tourists in the Baisaran meadow. The area was packed, and everyone rushed to save their lives. Unfortunately, 26 people didn't make it. Tens more were rushed to the hospital with critical injuries. April 23, 2025, India's Home Minister, Amit Shah, rushed to the province as security tightened in the area. Prime Minister Narendra Modi cut his Saudi Arabia visit short and arrived to craft the nation's response. This was done while United States Vice President J.D. Vance had been visiting India. He arrived on Monday and left shortly after Tuesday's attack. This was the deadliest attack on Indian-occupied Kashmir in nearly a quarter of a century. Protests erupted in every part of the country. Politicians were beside themselves with anger, and the country wanted accountability. They wanted Pakistan to accept that the militants were operating under Pakistani protection. The Resistance Front, or TFT, claimed responsibility for the attack. In their statement, they claimed that this was revenge for Indian citizens being granted residence permits in Indian-occupied Kashmir, overruling the state's semi-autonomous position and giving more authority to the federal government since 2019. But what does Pakistan have to do with this? The Resistance Front is long believed to be an offshoot of Pakistan's Lashkar-e-Taiba, which has brought conflict in the region for years. Islamabad denied any involvement in the incident, and the Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, even released a statement condoning the attack. But that didn't matter. April 24th through May 1st, India claimed, without a shadow of a doubt, that this was Pakistan's doing. Whether Islamabad had personally sent the militants in Pahalgam or they just didn't do anything to stop the attack, they were to blame. India immediately suspended the 65-year-long Indus Water Treaty. The 1960 Pact has governed how India and Pakistan share the waters of the 6 Indus Basin rivers. In theory, India could now try to cut or entirely stop the flow of water from these rivers into Pakistan. The border was, obviously, closed as well. Pakistanis in India were told they had 48 hours to go back. Indian military advisors in Islamabad were called back. Basically, any hint of a relationship between the two countries was to stop immediately. Pakistan's Foreign Minister, Ishaq Dar, called India's decision immature and hasty. Once again, Pakistan claimed that if India was so confident about its involvement, then it should give evidence. Did India give evidence, or did they just launch retaliatory attacks on Pakistan? Take a wild guess. The first strike, how the air battle began. You could compare the two countries with oil and water. There's no way they'll ever see eye to eye. At most, relationship between the neighbors has been quiet when it's good. When tensions escalate, however, that's when they declare war on one another. And that's what happened in May 2025. Pakistan had already announced that any attempt at restricting water flow from the river Indus would be considered an act of war. In the meantime, war was exactly what enraged protesters on both sides of the conflict wanted. This was far beyond a diplomatic response, and on May 7th, New Delhi gave in. 15 days after the Pahalgam attack, India launched 9 coordinated attacks on Pakistani soil. 5 out of the 9 were carried out in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and the remaining 4 in the province of Punjab. What enraged Islamabad, though, was that 2 of the strikes landed in Bahawalpur and Muridke, Punjab. The last time a strike had been carried out in such a densely populated area of Pakistan was back in 1971. Wouldn't you know it, it was also during an India-Pakistan war. India had reportedly utilized precision-guided artillery and drone-delivered munitions. Indian press initially spotlighted the use of French-origin Scalp-EG cruise missiles and Hammer glide bombs in those strikes. However, debris reportedly recovered in Pakistan indicates that India also used the BrahMos cruise missile, jointly produced with Russia, in the strikes. This was the first time India used cruise missiles on Pakistan. Another important aspect of any Pakistan-India escalation is misinformation on both sides. It gets to a point where you can't really tell who's telling the truth anymore. In this case, Pakistan claimed that 40 civilians were killed in the attack, mostly women and children. India claimed the number was much, much higher, but that only hundreds of terrorists had been targeted in the attack. India also claimed that its decision to attack Muridke and Bahawalpur was because anti-Indian terrorist groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed were known to operate in those cities for decades. But because the regions were densely populated, they never got the chance. Now, everything was fair since Pakistan allegedly started the war. Pakistan, once again, denied that they'd started the war, but they claimed that they were now determined to finish it, taking down Indian fighter jets. India launched the first strike, and within minutes, Pakistan went from defense to offense. And it didn't happen randomly. It followed a clear sequence, which military analysts call a kill chain. It started with detection. Pakistan's ground-based radar systems, combined with airborne early warning aircraft, picked up Indian formations. This meant that the Pakistani command had a real-time picture of what was coming. Direction, altitude, speed, and formation patterns. All of them were being tracked before Indian jets even got close to their targets. Pakistan then moved on to the next step, interception. Fighter jets, including the J-10C, F-16, and JF-17, were scrambled and guided into position. They were being directed by ground control and networked systems, giving them live updates. The level of coordination is what allows an air force to react quickly and with precision. Pakistan's J-10C fighters were equipped with PL-15 beyond visual range missiles, designed specifically for long-distance air combat. These missiles can be launched from outside visual range, relying on radar guidance to track and hit targets. Indian aircraft, at this point, were still focused on executing their strike mission. That meant maintaining formation and sticking to their planned routes, and that also made them easier to track. Pakistan could see them first, and in modern air combat, that decides the outcome of an airstrike. Missiles were launched from range. Indian pilots were forced into defensive maneuvers almost immediately. They broke formation, deployed countermeasures, and attempted to evade incoming threats. You would barely have any time to react if missiles were traveling at multiple times the speed of sound, headed right toward you. Reports from multiple sources indicate that Indian aircraft were hit during this phase of the engagement, although the exact number remains disputed. Pakistan claimed several kills, including high-value aircraft. Independent reporting has confirmed that losses did occur, even if both sides presented different versions of the events. One of the most significant claims was the downing of a Rafale. This matters because the Rafale is one of India's most advanced fighters, and Pakistan just took it down. The Rafale shock, India's most advanced jet, goes down. The Rafale wasn't supposed to be part of this story like this. India inducted the Rafale into its Air Force as a major upgrade. We're talking about a 4.5 generation fighter built by France, designed for both air superiority and precision strikes. It comes with advanced radar, strong electronic warfare systems, and the ability to carry some of the most capable air-to-air missiles in the world. One of its biggest advantages is the Meteor missile. This is a long-range, beyond visual range weapon that allows pilots to engage targets from a significant distance while maintaining a high probability of kill. Combined with the Rafale's sensors and defensive systems, it's not an aircraft that is expected to be easy to target, which is why Pakistan taking them down made international headlines. At least one Rafale was hit between May 7th and 10th. Even though India never confirmed the news, the discussion itself has been significant. Losing an aircraft is one thing. Losing a frontline platform like the Rafale is insane. The Rafale was not operating alone. It was part of a larger strike package that included multiple aircraft and support systems. That means it had access to shared data, situational awareness, and coordination from other assets in the air and on the ground. Despite that, it still entered an engagement where it could be targeted. Pakistan didn't rely on close-range engagement. Its response was built around long-range interception. Aircraft like the J-10C, equipped with PL-15 missiles, were able to engage from distance using radar guidance and networked targeting information, reducing the need for visual contact and shifting the advantage to whoever can detect and lock first. Neither India nor Pakistan had any need to send their own aircraft out of their own national airspace. British defense analyst Michael Clark told news outlets, "Their standoff weapons all had long enough ranges to reach their evident targets whilst flying in their own airspace." So, the Rafale was not outclassed as a platform. It was caught in a situation where the opposing side had already established the advantage through positioning, timing, and coordination. According to Islamabad, 6 Indian Air Force jets were taken down on May 7th, 5 over Indian-administered Kashmir, and 1 over Indian Punjab. India flat out denied that. Pakistan's Air Vice Marshal Aurangzeb Ahmed claimed that among the 5 downed aircraft were 3 Rafales, a MiG-29, and a Su-30, providing electronic signatures of the aircraft. In addition to the exact locations where the planes were hit, India said that never happened. Things got interesting when the Washington Post found strong evidence of 3 separate crash sites inside India. The investigation also identified at least 2 of those wrecks as aircraft types not operated by Pakistan. That included the Rafale and the Mirage 2000. So, these weren't just claims anymore. Before the conflict even began, Pakistan had already signaled that it would be using PL-15 long-range air-to-air missiles supplied by China, and after the strikes, debris from those missiles was reportedly recovered inside India, confirming they were used in the engagement. But India pushed back. Indian officials argued that the PL-15S did not hit their intended targets. They pointed to unexploded missile fragments found on Indian territory as proof that at least some of those launches missed. Some analysts suggest that surface-to-air missile systems may have played a role. In fact, a senior retired Indian Army general assessed that any potential losses were more likely caused by the HQ-9 air defense system, another Chinese origin platform used by Pakistan. But then, Chinese state news outlet, the Global Times, wrote that Pakistan by itself had brought down Indian fighter planes. Again, India's embassy in China labeled the report as disinformation. The ceasefire. By May 8th and 9th, the world feared the worst, a nuclear attack. Both sides started launching waves of drone attacks. India said Pakistan sent hundreds of drones across multiple locations to test its air defenses and gather intelligence. Pakistan, on the other hand, claimed it had shot down dozens of Indian drones over cities like Lahore and Karachi. India used loitering munitions and anti-radiation drones to go after Pakistani radar sites. Pakistan responded with its own drones and, eventually, short-range ballistic missiles. That's when things got serious. At one point, India detected multiple high-speed missile threats heading toward its air bases. Pakistan later confirmed it had used systems like the Fatah missile series during the conflict. Neither side knew for sure what those missiles were carrying: conventional warhead or something else. At one stage, Pakistani officials admitted they had only seconds to determine whether incoming Indian missiles could be nuclear. That's how close this got. The United States, which had initially kept its distance, suddenly changed tone. Intelligence reports triggered concern that the conflict could escalate rapidly. U.S. officials began directly engaging with both sides, warning that the situation could spiral into something much bigger. Vice President J.D. Vance even publicly stated that the biggest fear was a broader regional war, or worse, a nuclear conflict. Then came May 10th. After 4 days of continuous escalation, both sides agreed to a ceasefire. During a November speech at the American Business Forum in Miami, U.S. President Donald Trump reminded everyone of the U.S. contributions in ending the war, saying, "In 8 months, I ended 8 wars, including Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, Pakistan and India. I was in the midst of a trade deal with both of them. And then I read on the front page of a certain newspaper. I won't mention the newspaper because it's usually fake news. But I heard they are going to war. 8 planes, 7 planes were shot down. An 8th was really badly wounded. But 8 planes were shot down, essentially." Meanwhile, Modi denied the assertion. He claimed that the ceasefire was achieved through talks between the two militaries and not U.S. mediation. But what does this actually mean going forward? The conflict showed how quickly things can escalate from a single attack to drones, missiles, and full air combat between 2 nuclear powers. This was standoff strikes, long-range missiles, drone swarms, and electronic warfare, a fight where you don't even need to enter enemy territory to cause damage. Both sides showed they are willing to escalate further than before. And next time, the systems will be faster, the weapons more advanced, and the reaction time even shorter. This time, it stopped at a ceasefire. Next time, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on military action around the world.